Well, howdy diddly dandy there, chums. It is I, Captain Stephen XO, and today, chums, I'm going to be showing you guys in Viewer World how to make the base that I made over at the PT Hub. Yeah, if you're not sure what I'm on about, I put a card at the top of the screen there for that video that I made over at the PT Hub. But basically, right now, chums, I am in creative mode, not normal mode. I made the PT one in normal mode. I'm doing this in creative so I don't run out of base parts as I'm building. And I'm going to speed this footage up to keep it nice and simple, but I will be doing the voiceover at normal speed so I don't sound like a chipmunk. Heck no. Righto, so here we go. Let's speed up the footage. And I'm laying down some metal panels. And I want sort of like a group of 9 with a little drawbridge. Heck yes. Righto, so on PTs I built this on land, so I didn't really need a drawbridge, but here we go. I'm making my elements larger. So this is under decorations, and I'm just using like a cabinety type thing. And then this is an oscilloscope. It looks more like a microwave, but I'm just going to use that as the head. If you press up, you can change the color. So there we go, I changed it blue. And now I'm going to be putting on the caterpillar tracks. Obviously they're not called that, they're called the tool cabinet. And yeah, if you hold down the L and R again, so you can actually scale and rotate when you hold down the L and R on the PlayStation. I'm not too sure what those buttons are on other platforms, but I'm fairly sure you'd work it out because all the controls are at the bottom. You can see at the bottom of the screen that it said about scale and rotate, and tells you which buttons I'm using on PlayStation 4. It should tell you, or PlayStation 5, it should tell you which buttons to press on whichever platform you're on. And there you go, it's just a case of using some decoration parts to make your robot. That's the robot done. It's only what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 parts, including the banner on the back, really. So it's not that difficult. It's fairly simple. If you played with Lego as a kid, you should be able to make one of these robots, as long as you've got all the base parts. Heck yes, and you get all the base parts up in the next arse. From the base building construction terminal found by all the NPCs in the big ring at the back. Yeah, behind where you got Nada and Polo. Righto, so now I'm going to press on and make the actual base part at the back. But you know, you guys are quite creative and I'm fairly sure you could build whatever you want onto it. I think a lot of people just wanted to know how I made that droid, because maybe they thought I glitched it. No, you can actually just put those parts together. Decorational parts, a lot of them, you can put on top of each other and layer them and all sorts of stuff. Sometimes you're going to get unusual red states, but a lot of the time it's as simple as that. So here we go, I'm making the little box room. I will show you guys how to do the Byte beat as well, because a lot of people don't use the Byte beat because they're not 100% sure how it works. But here we go, I'm putting down a wooden floor in this base in my version. PTs I kept it all metal. Right, so these power doors I quite like, and I like to put the actual beams on the outside to show that there is a door. Other people like to rotate them the other way, so you don't see it and it almost just looks like a metal wall to keep it very stealth-like. Up to you what you want to do, but I'm going for that way. Righto, so I'm putting it in a wall switch here. So that's a wall switch. One end goes to your power point, the other end goes to whatever you want it to trigger. It's the most simplest of switches to use. Righto, so I've made it so that little switch is hidden in the rectiarm of my robot. Heck yes. So when I hit that switch, the doors will open and let me in. Heck yes. But I've also put up some lights on top of these little canisters here. Now I could wire those onto the same door switch if I wanted to. So when the door opens, the lights come on. When the door closes, the lights go off. That sort of thing. However, I've put these on a separate relay because I want them on all the time. Heck yes. I mean, you could technically link them up to maybe a solar panel and battery and maybe inverse the battery or something. So when the actual, the sun goes down and the solar panels turn off, it swaps over to the battery and turns your lights on. You can do all sorts of weird and clever and wonderful stuff. You probably need a reverse switch or a power inverter or something. But you get the rough idea. Right, now moving on to the Byte beat. Now the Byte beat, you could just put down one machine if you wanted to, but really if you want sequences, you're going to need a fair few tracks, and you can link a lot of these together to make a real nice symphony and melody. And you do that by using this purple wire, and you have to connect it using the note symbol on the actual Byte beats. Righto, so I'm going to have a switch for these to turn them off and on as well, because some people, they get annoyed with the Byte beats and don't really want the tune on the whole time. I didn't put one of these at PTs. So his is on permanently. And then you need to also give them power. So there we go. So I've wired them all onto another wall switch. So I should be able to turn them on and off again. Heck yes. Right, so when you actually interface into these, I'm going to do this one fast, but then I'm going to slow this down when I do the other side and talk you through it a little bit more. But all I'm doing in here is, rather than having a mishmash of notes, I'm trying to make something that looks more like a pattern. I mean, music follows a melody, and if you've got a melody that's all higgledy-piggledy and all over the place, it's just going to sound like a mishmash of noise. So I just tend to make a couple of patterns. I have 3 machines hitting on one side, or one set of notes, and the other 3 on the opposite side hitting on the opposite set of notes. So there's always something happening, and yeah, I'm changing the levels, and I'm making it look more melodic, that's all. And I've changed the BPM here. I changed it to 120, but then I thought, well, they should have all changed to 120 when I changed it at the other side, and that's when I realised I hadn't linked these byte beats over this side, these 3, to the 3 on the opposite side. So now I'm looking for the purple byte beat cable again, going through all the different menus, trying to figure out where it frickin' is. There it is. Righto, so I need to hit it on that note there, and then this one over here, it's just as soon as it goes green, pow, they're now linked. So they now all should be going at 120 BPM. So if I go into here, yeah, 120 BPM, lovely. And then I can just tweak all these ones. So here you go. So on the opposite side, I had them doing it on every other one. So the first line was blank, then it was a hit, then it was blank, then it was a hit. And this time I'm going to try and just do something that looks like a random pattern, but is kind of nice. So there's a few hits and a few misses on the same sort of beats at the opposite side. And yeah, I'm just going to change the melody. I'm going to make that a bit of a higher pitch on this machine. The next machine I may make it a lower pitch, so it sort of, you know, goes in symphony. It makes a nice little melody. So here we go, let's just retune this a bit. Let's bring this down a notch. And that, so it's got a low note, high note, low note, high note. And here we go. I quite like that. It looks like a number 5 on a dice. So I'm going to repeat that a little bit. There we are. And then there's nothing. And then back to the number 5. It's as simple as that. And I might change the waveform, or I might change the actual keynote. And then I've got into a synchronizer. So I just use the L and R buttons there to go into the synchronizer tab. And this is basically saying when I want the certain machines to play. So you can see that I've got quite a fair few in, and all I'm leaving is this top row at the top just fine. So it's always got the same sort of beat to carry it through. You don't want to make it sound too jarring. But there's a little mini come down just there, because there's hardly any that play there. And then it all bounces back in again. And then it goes off a bit. So it should sound fairly good once this actually is all turned on. So yeah, that's pretty much my byte beat. I'll play it properly towards the end anyhow, but there we go. And there's a switch there that I can use to turn it off and on again. But yeah, let's head back into the base. Let's go and open the doors. I'll tell you what, I shut up for a bit while I go in. You can hear the music. Okay, well, it's not going to rival the Cantina song, is it? But it's a little mini beat byte, which is nice. It's kind of cool. And hopefully that's given you enough to play around and make something more triumphant than mine. But now I need to add in some decoration in here. I'm not going to go to town. I mean, you guys can do whatever you like in here. But normally I'll put in maybe a teleporter into here or something. But I'm just going to put a sofa in here. I'm going to put a switch on the back, so I can unlock the doors from the inside. Because what you don't want is to go inside and somebody on the outside goes and locks you in. Because that would be terrible. Right, so here we go. Let's find myself my switches. And again, I'm just going to use the simple wall switch and connect that up. So here we go. Wall switch. Lovely jubbly. I'm going to put it on the back of the sofa. I mean, you can put it wherever you want. You can always hide it or have a bit of fun with it. But there we go. I'm just going to make it simple. So here we go. I'm just going to connect it to the outside. And that's done there. Because my doors are back to front, I've connected it round the opposite way, if you're wondering. But it doesn't really matter which way you do it, because as soon as you hit the switch, it's going to toggle it anyway. Lovely and jubbly. Done, done. And now I should be able to use this switch and open the doors from the inside. And I can close them again from the outside or reopen them from the outside. It's as simple as that. It's like having a freaking light switch. That's kind of how I remember it anyway, like a little wall switch. It doesn't matter if one's on and one's off. It doesn't really matter. They will trigger it either way. So that's pretty much my base. I mean, It's as simple as that, really, chums. It really is. So, yeah. Now I want to hide these wires because they look a bit of a mess. So I'm just going to put that on the back of his head. It looks like it is a bit of a wind-up toy now, doesn't it? Almost looks like a key rotating. And over at PT's, I did put up some billboards in the background. And on it, I wrote PT Hub using a certain decal. I'll show you which decal in a second. But I'm going to keep this simple on mine. I'm just going to use the prefab decals. But yeah, you can really go to town. You could do some nice little artwork on these things with the decals and make it your own. But yeah, this is the NMSA hub that I'm in right now, chums. So I'm just going to put in probably an Atlas sign. But if you do want to write, I just use these. I just use these little girders, shrink them, grow them, turn them black. And then, yeah, you can draw pictures with those. It's almost like a Etch a Sketch. They're very sort of linear, though. It's like you could type NMSA if you wanted there or something. But I'm just going to put in 16, 16, 16 because it's a nice, easy to use prefab. So I'm just going to put in all the ones. And because I've scaled it, it keeps the same scale. So as long as you don't move on to something else, whatever you've got scaled up, it would keep it to the same size. That was the same with the robot's arms and the tyre tracks and everything else. So what I actually done over at the PT Hub only took me around 14 minutes. Now this one that I built in creative mode took me about 30 minutes or so. But then with the footage sped up, this video came in at around about 12 minutes. As you can see over here, I have also built an R2-D2 and an Ed 209. They were previous builds that I built some time ago. But yeah, I've got videos on how I built the R2-D2, which I put a card up at the top right hand corner now if you want to try that one. Again, it was non-glitched. I did the R2-D2 with non-glitching. This base is a non-glitch base as well, so this is achievable by all. Let's just flick the switch. Yuck, yes, let's have some music to see you out with. You guys out there, freaking awesome. I hope you try this at home. Heck yes, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye, goodbye, and goodbye again. I want to say a massive great big thank you for watching. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. And thank you to my backers over on Patreon and on YouTube membership. If you do want to support this channel, you could just not skip my adverts. That throws revenue down my avenue. Or stay with Captain Steve a little bit longer and hit something on this screen. Heck yes, and there's also merch on this screen now. Awesome!